Welcome back to No More Heroes, Travis Strikes Again. We're still going through the CIA. This should be our last, regular gameplay part.
Wait, so this is the final level?
Yep.
Okay.
And John's cracking up.
No, the audience is not gonna understand
What?
because he lagged again at the end of the Discord countdown. But it's like it wasn't that bad. I think that's why we all press play anyway. That's why
Oh, yeah, okay. So, for context, BrainScratch behind the scenes. When we start, we do a 3, 2, 1 countdown to start up Audacity, all synced up, and then we do the same for the video. And
Yeah.
for some unknown reason, Ryan's internet has a tendency to lag, and it almost always does it on the one.
No, I think we know the reason. It's like Comcast just blows. But
Surprising no one.
it's like
Well,
I
I
don't know if
mean,
there's a
that
reason.
explains
This
why it
particular
lags.
lag was funny.
That doesn't explain why the lag timing is so
Ryan almost sounded like the
consistently
owl counting licks in a Tootsie Pop for a second. It's for No More Heroes Part 3, 2, 1.
One. Oh,
play.
He did kind of sound like that for a second, yeah. I thought that was just me. Okay. So,
Anyway, we're still on this fucking level. But this is like you guys were saying last time. We're close to like the end of the normal campaign.
Yep.
So I'm assuming the rest of this is just DLC.
After the next part, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, besides the sheer amount of like goons you faced, I don't really get like a sense of finality with this.
Well, I get with the screen obscuring in that
Yeah.
it makes navigating the maze more difficult.
the thing is, the overhead camera kind of limits the game's ability to be dramatic about things. One of the small but appreciated things about No More Heroes was that it did know how to use its nice cut there. It did know how to use its camera to give levels a grander feel than they necessarily deserved. So, yeah, that was a thing that could be done in the older games, but except with one notable exception is not done here. There is one interesting thing that it does with its camera angles toward the end, though, which I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, the Easter egg.
Yeah.
Do you get that Easter egg for just being the game or 100%?
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, I don't know. So, okay, hold on. Why are we in the CIA? I guess that is something.
It has to do with the development of the Death Drive and the creator of it and a bunch of other crap.
Oh, okay.
Oh man.
That's what a lot of the faxes were for, if you bother to read them.
You know,
Okay.
that's because that's the CIA in a nutshell. You know, MK Ultra brainwashing experiments, shady privacy infringing investigations, and evil video game consoles. Sure.
I mean, functionally, yes.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to hear that the CIA is developing a video game console to try to control our minds, but
I thought
maybe
that was
100% of-
Abstergo's thing.
Like, more than one person can be in the video game mind control business, alright? It's not a monopoly.
The
Actually-
Templars disagree. uh, that was a weird plot point in the modern Assassin's Creed games, and it feels like they only made that plot point exist so that they would have something to tie in the modern games with the previous ones, because otherwise they wouldn't.
I thought that Assassin's Creed always was about a guy in a video game.
The first story arc, which is to say Assassin's Creed 1 through 3 plus the Ezio sequels, was about Desmond Miles reliving the lives of his ancestors. No, not ancestors. Ancestors? Yes, ancestors is the word. I always mix up ancestors and descendants for some reason. But after they finished that story arc, they continued making Assassin's Creed games, but they didn't want to necessarily connect them because they didn't want to have a big real-world plot going on anymore. But they still had to do the Animus thing because that was the whole premise of the series, and a lot of people found that interesting. So they just said, Abstergo's using the Animus to create video games, to control people, but the assassins, they're sabotaging it by making the games tell the truth or something. And yeah, it was this kind of meta thing that really didn't have much of an impact on the plot whatsoever.
It sounds pretty dumb, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. But it's a kind of dumb thing that only really comes into effect in like very small chunks of the game, so you can just sort of blur your eyes and forget it exists and just focus on like who Cassandra is hitting on next or whatever.
Oh yeah, because the Greek one was actually really good. Right?
From what I hear, yeah, I haven't had a chance to play my copy of it yet. But from what I've first heard it described to me by my cousin, he says it's kind of like The Witcher 3, except in Greece and Assassin's Creed. So that was a tantalizing description for me. I know a lot of people like would rather we go back to the old open world style instead of having all this RPG stuff intruding on Assassin's Creed, and I kind of get that feeling, but at the same time we've had so many of the old style Assassin's Creed games in such a short span of time that I have a hard time feeling like that fan base was starved. So like, I mean, Jesus, we even had two of them in the same year at one point. On two
Really?
On two different consoles, yeah. It was Assassin's Creed Rogue and whatever the other one was. Ironically, the one on the lesser console ended up being the good one because I think the one that came out on modern consoles that year was the infamously glitchy one.
Oh, that's the French one where people's faces collapsed in on themselves.
Yeah, I think so. Whatever that was called. I've lost track
Yeah.
of the Assassin's Creed subtitles. I'm sorry.
I forgot that two of them came out in the same year, though. That's like New Super Mario Brothers, but New Super
Assassin Bros.
Assassin Brothers.
Ubisoft does know how to milk a multi-console franchise. I'll say that. Oh no.
Oh, Ubisoft is amazing at milking franchises. They're probably the only ones. They're probably the best ones at it in the business, I would guess.
Well, yeah, they managed to do it, but they haven't, ever done anything quite as infamously bad as we usually see from the likes of the EA or Bethesda.
I mean, they did manage to milk Watch Dogs as a franchise even before Watch Dogs even was a franchise. So,
I still
they
don't.
get points for that.
I still don't understand what the hype around Watch Dogs even was.
It had one really good trailer, and then that was it.
Well, at least it had a good trailer, and then it came out, which is unfortunately not the fate of several games that I've looked back at through other content creators.
Or even just stuff made by Ubisoft, like Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Beyond Good and Evil 2, yeah.
Which got a bad trailer and still isn't out, so...
It also had, a gameplay question mark teaser that showed Jade, parkouring around an open city environment.
Yeah, so... That game, they first showed it off, 5 years ago now.
Yeah, and now the Beyond Good and Evil 2, which is also taking forever to actually happen, is a completely different Beyond Good and Evil 2, starring a completely different character in a completely different situation.
They just need to finish it so Michael Ansel can make another 2D Rayman game. That's
we
all
don't
I
need
want.
another 2D Rayman game.
Yeah, but
we
I
need
want...
another 3D Rayman game.
Okay,
One that
but
isn't
I
Rayman
want
3,
one.
thank you.
Look, this isn't what we need. This is about my wants specifically, which as
You should want
I
more
mean,
3D
I want.
Rayman, damn it.
I was gonna say I want another 3D Rayman. Therefore, we outvote you, Ted.
Okay, but how about they just port Rayman 2 again?
No. How about they make another 3D Rayman in that style? You know. Well, like maybe with some elements of Rayman 3 in there. Like I always liked Rayman throwing his hand. I'm not really a big fan of the frickin' energy ball thing. So
Well,
yeah,
him throwing his hand is more like the classic games, anyways.
yeah, and that was one thing that I liked in Rayman 3 was him throwing his hand again. It's also like an animation that has a lot more personality than just Ploink throwing an energy ball. But but you know, 3D Rayman is one of those like PlayStation 2 era kind of styled platformers that no one seems to want to make anymore, unless they're Sonic
I mean, they're
Boom.
they're coming back to some extent.
yeah. I'm
A
gonna say
little bit.
Yeah, like I
Really?
mean, mostly in terms of remakes, but they
The only-
they are happening, so they know there's a demand.
The only platformers in that style that I can think of off the top of my head are Sonic Boom and the Ratchet and Clank series, sort of, although they're focusing a lot
Hat
more
in
on
Time.
the
Ukulele.
Hat in Time.
Ukulele, not quite, but
I
mean,
Ukulele's more N64, and A Hat in Time feels more like Super Mario Sunshine than the kind of platformer that I'm talking about. I'm talking more
still,
like
it's-
those kind of Jack and Daxter-esque feeling platformers.
There's the Destroy All Humans remake coming out in that vein, and I mean, this again feels more Super Mario 64 than any of that. But
Is
in
Destroy
terms
All
of interest in 3D platformers, there is the SpongeBob remake.
Is Destroy All Humors a platformer?
It's kind of
it's an
there's-
action adventure game.
Oh.
There's platforming elements. But it is more of a shmup, open world kind of. It's weird. It's a weird game.
Oh,
Yeah.
But you know, again, in terms of just general interest, anything even adjacent to it is enough to show that there is interest in it, I suppose.
I suppose.
So, I'm just glad that 3D platformers aren't dead anymore, cause
Yeah, that's nice.
I miss them.
Thank you, Super Mario Odyssey. Thank you, Hat in Time.
Because I'm not gonna lie, like they probably were my favorite genre growing up, and then they just stopped making them. What felt like out of nowhere.
It got like super oversaturated during the PS2 GameCube era, and I guess gamers as a whole got a little fatigued with it, so demand dropped.
This is want to happen with like the genre.
And you know how the industry is. When demand drops even slightly, they just panic button it and stop.
Maybe this is just me being petty, though, but at the very least, when 2D platformers got fatigued and replaced, they had the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance and DS to jump to survive, so people still got them, even if they were handheld, but 3D platformers just disappeared and didn't show up. So that made me sad.
Yeah, I getcha.
Jesus Christ, though, that Travis sprite face, I don't...
It's because it's his jaw. To me, it's the jaw, and you can see all his teeth.
I do not believe that his teeth are that clean.
No, I believe his teeth are that clean.
They look
It's
a
just
little
that-
yellow
does he
to
talk
me.
with his teeth? Look at that.
Say something, Tiger Head.
He doesn't talk.
Does he not talk in the game, too?
I think it was like that in the game too. Yeah.
Tiger is just...
Although, you know, I could believe that Travis pays attention to his teeth enough to keep them white, because, you know, he clearly wants to have this whole, like, stylish look. So he'd brush his teeth in the morning, admire his hair in the mirror, and all of that, and then get on to being a worthless layabout.
You have to look good when you're sitting inside where nobody can see you.
Exactly.
Remember that one level of No More Heroes, which was entirely a hallway like that?
Yep. At least there's no enemies to fight in this one. You just kind of get to the end. But next time in No More Heroes, we'll be facing the final boss.
Ooh.